The press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join your host Ron as we will talk all things Philadelphia Flyers and Lehigh Valley fans. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of the Hockey Writers Inc. with your host, Ron. Hey, how are you guys doing today? Man, we've got a special show lined up for you today, folks. That's right, episode number 202. The Hockey Writers Inc. welcomes the great, the one and only Lyle Richardson. How you doing, Lyle?
I'm great, Ron. Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, we can't wait to talk all kind of things Flyers. Woo! How about that, folks? First of all, would like to say thank you all very much for hitting the like button and the subscribe button if you like what we do. Really appreciate that. Also, thank you folks out there for helping to make the Hockey Writers Inc. a top 10 Philadelphia Flyers centric podcast. Thank you all very much for that for 5 years in a row. That's right, folks. All right. Thank you all very much. All you have to do is go to your favorite podcasting platforms, type in the Hockey Writers Inc., find us, give us a 5-star rating. That'll help us keep us rolling. How you doing? All right. We're going to get rolling here. We got a lot of things to get to here and a short time to get there. And we got the great Lyle to get us there. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, shall we, when it comes to the Philadelphia Flyers, and that is Rick Tocchet, hired as the coach. Lyle, look, we talked about this on our Around the League show with the great OMB Puck guys a couple weeks ago here, but I just kind of wanted to get your in-depth take a little bit more deeper about what your take is on the Philadelphia Flyers. So we briefly touched on it when we were on the show, but I want to get your full take on the whole Rick Tocchet being brought back into Philadelphia.
Yeah. Well, Ron, I mean, first of all, as I'd mentioned on the show, for Tocchet, this is coming home.
Yeah,
We know that he spent considerable amounts of time as an NHL player, as a Flyer back in the day. He was a beloved Flyer. He's even said himself that this is going to be very familiar feeling coming back, even though, the organization, obviously it's changed and everything's different from back in his playing days. But he knows what this team's, what this team is now and what role they're doing, what his role will be within it. And he brings considerable experience, obviously. Jack Adams Award winner with the Vancouver Canucks in 2023-24, guided them to one of their best regular seasons ever. You think back into back in the late 20 teens, if you will, in 2016, 2017 with the with your Flyers nemesis, the Penguins. But hey,
got that ring.
back to back Stanley Cups there as an assistant coach. He was known as the Phil Kessel whisperer because he was able to get to bring out the best. He was the one coach who could bring out the absolute best in Phil Kessel.
Yep.
And of course he had considerable experience before that as well. He's been through it with rebuilding teams. He did it before with places like Tampa Bay and with Arizona. So he knows what he's getting into here. He knows what his job is going to be here is to work with the young players, especially, and to try and build this team up because they are rebuilding. And it's going to be a different style, obviously, from what they had with John Tortorella. I mean, yes, in 2023-24, he had that Flyers team playing over their heads, obviously.
Clearly.
Yeah, nobody expected them to make the playoffs, and the fact that they came oh so close to doing so before they just collapsed down the stretch. They just finally ran out of gas
Yeah.
because Torts plays a very demanding system. He got a lot out of them. They tried to kind of, to do the same style again. The problem is for demanding coaches like Torts, they have a short shelf life, and after a while, players get tired, mentally and physically drained. And I did not consider it a surprise that after Tortorella was relieved of his coaching duties in mid-March, that all of a sudden the Flyers started playing better.
I
And
mean,
you,
yeah.
yeah,
It felt like, the weight was lifted off, like Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, we don't have to worry about Tortorella standing there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
at the time, I thought Tortorella was the perfect coach to come in and help right the ship because there was a lot of turmoil between the past regime and the new regime and the whole interim coaches and interim GMs and blah 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 blah. And it was a lot of turmoil there, I think, for
Yeah.
a little bit of time there in Flyerdom. And now coming out on the other side of it now, right? So now Danny Brier's got his guy, right? Because Tortorella wasn't his guy,
Right.
even though he was part of that conglomeration where he was a consultant at the
Yes.
time,
Right.
but now this is Danny Brier's team now, truly, right?
Hmm.
He's got his hockey operations, he's got his coach now, and everything else like that. So I think we are going to see a different Flyers team
Hmm.
based off of just what Rick Tockett's going to bring. And I also think this too. I think the first, say, 15 games,
Hmm.
we're going to see a very open style where you're just going to see guys just flying around. And the reason why I say that is because I think Tockett is going to try to see what he has so
Yeah.
that he can then start to rein it in.
Hmm.
Because there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of new faces. That's another thing that I want to kind of get in here to as
Yeah.
well too a little bit, but a lot of moving parts here with this Flyers team. So I think you're going to see a little bit of that.
Well,
You
you
know,
you will, but and obviously he's going to be assessing them. But I think what you're going to see too is you're not going to see players trying to be forced to play a style that they're not either used to playing or that are comfortable playing. I mean,
exactly.
obviously you're going to need to be defensively responsible. I mean, and the case in point, perfect example will be Matvei Michkov. Uh, Again, you got a superstar scorer there. But even he acknowledged that, yes, his defensive game could have improved, could be better. He knows it, he acknowledges it. So, yes, I mean, you're still going to need to be responsible in your own end, but you're not going to get, you know, nailed to the bench if you miss in a checking assignment, okay? Or if you make a mistake and the puck ends up in the back of your net, you're not going to get screamed at.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not really Tockett's style. He's not Tortorella light. I mean, you do have to be responsible at both ends of the rink, but he's going to want to have guys playing to their strengths as well, and that's kind of what he's going to be doing is trying to identify that. With somebody like Michkov, that's easy. You know what his strength is. Okay, his strength is scoring goals, setting up goals. It's goals.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to want to try and turn him into try and make him a Selkie candidate. Okay, you're not going to try and turn him into out there killing penalties. That's not his strength.
You
So
know,
yeah, obviously that's what he's going to be trying to do. It's just yes, everybody's going to be responsible, at both ends of the ice, but we're not going to try and fit square pegs into round holes here either. So
That's exactly what happened. What they tried to do with Giroux, they
yeah,
tried to do it with Lawton. They've tried to do it with Couturier. They've tried to do it, with all, the laundry list of guys where they've tried to either make them a winger or make them a center or
yeah.
whatever the case is. Why can't y'all just have the guy just play their natural position? Novel concept, Hey,
Well, and also, I mean, as well, they're rebuilding, and everybody knows they're rebuilding, so patience is allowed here. Mistakes are allowed to be made. Okay, I mean, and I'll point to one of your Eastern Conference rivals, which happens to be my favorite team, which is the Montreal Canadiens. For 3 years, it was yeah, kind of grim, but everybody knew they were rebuilding. Everybody knew mistakes are going to happen, but you learn from them and you carry on. But what happened for them was that they had the right coach there, and they still do in
yes,
Martin Saint Louis.
all day.
And I think that that's what you're kind of looking at here with Tocchet. Tocchet obviously far more experienced than Saint Louis, but he's going to be more of a player's coach.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so yeah,
Okay.
I think that you're going to see that yeah mistakes are going to be allowed to happen. Just learn from them. carry on. If you keep making the same mistakes, okay, we may have to crack the whip here, but the bottom line
Right.
is don't be afraid to take a chance. Don't be afraid that if you make a mistake, it'll end up in your net.
Key phrase right there. Don't be afraid to do it because the
Yeah.
the coach is not going to be there to crack the whip and send you into the doghouse and make you sit on the bench and watch for 2.5 periods. You know what I mean? So, okay. Speaking of new coaches, the Phantoms
Hmm.
did the same exact thing. They said, "Hey, Ian, we appreciate what you did for us, buddy. Here's a cushy little front office job, but we're gonna bring in John Snowden." And I'm pleasantly surprised at who they brought in
Hmm.
because they brought in a guy who not only was an assistant coach under LePerriere, so
Right.
that means he already knows everybody.
Yeah.
And he was
Right.
responsible for different sections of the team. So plus, he's got some pedigree.
Oh
He's
yes.
won at Maine. He's
Yeah.
won in the past.
Yep.
He was with Briere when they were both at Maine. Yeah, right. He
Hmm.
was the assistant general manager or something.
And also he won the Kelly Cup in the ECHL with the Newfoundland Growlers,
Ex-
and had two solid seasons with them. I mean, and he's been around. I mean, he was as a player, he went through the minor league ranks.
Yep.
He's coached and different things at all different levels, mostly minor leagues. So they're bringing in a guy with all that experience, and he knows what his job is coming in there. His job is to help mold the young promising young players that are going to be coming in, those that are already there. And I'm thinking of somebody like Bonk. Oliver Bonk is one,
Yep.
but that's just one, for example, just because I'm kind of high on that kid, and I think he's going to be
Yeah.
a stellar defenseman for the Flyers in the very near future. But of course, other kids that are going to be coming through, I mean, you could even look at Porter Martone, I mean, that's going to be coming in your high draft pick from this year. I mean, obviously he's going to be he's going he's going to be in the junior ranks again then this year. But I mean, at some point he could end up with the Phantoms, and yeah, that's where it's going to be a perfect place, kind of a good testing ground, a good place for him to be able to transition from playing junior/college hockey, whichever way he goes,
He's going to
to
college.
that's right, he is, isn't
Yeah,
he?
he's
Yeah,
going to Penn State.
yeah. Yeah, oh, he's going to be joining Gavin McKenna. Interesting. Yes, that's right. It's been a long summer. Can I
You
tell you?
know,
Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, but exactly. But at some point they're going to need to make that transition over. Now he may be able to make that transition directly over, may not even have to go to Lehigh Valley. But in case he does, you've got somebody there who's a proven minor league, a guy who's used to coaching these guys, and will be able to help in that development to get these guys ready for the next step when they transition to the Flyers.
I agree. And by the way, correction, I believe it's Michigan State that
Ah,
Martone is going to. Yeah,
mm,
Michigan State.
yeah.
Correction on that one. So sorry about that. Like he said, it's been a long summer. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff going on, right? Okay.
Well, not a lot of player activity lately, but yeah, all the junior stuff and the college stuff was over a month ago, and that's yeah.
Exactly.
And we all took
But
vacations. That's my excuse. What's yours? Anyway.
I don't have one really. Just that there's a lot of stuff going on. And
Yeah.
so,
But it's
um,
very interesting though too, Ron, that again, this is just part of again, as you would say though, the coaching change with the Phantoms. It's just all part of again of Briere, getting the people in that he feels is going to be a good fit. That's going to be able to make
yeah.
his vision for this team and the rebuild come through.
And the fact that Snowden and Tocchet are going to work together
Hmm.
to create the same system for both the big club and the farm club is another thing that I think is another huge step in the right direction. You look at a lot of some of the successful teams, out west like LA's and
Hmm.
Colorado's and look at how they're doing it. And they're
Yeah.
doing it exactly that way. You
Yes.
got to be able to build for success. And I think that that's what
Yeah.
the Flyers are doing. And you said it right there as well too, Lyle. Patience.
Yeah.
We don't think that the Flyers are necessarily going to make the playoffs this year. It's one
Mm.
of those fingers crossed, but it's not going to hurt them if they don't.
No. as long as you can see the development, you can at least see the improvement is coming like that, and again, I'm kind of speaking, as a Habs fan here, but but seriously, I mean, we knew the team wasn't going to make the playoffs over that 3-year period that I'm referring to, but we could see the individual improvement. We could see some extra wins, some extra points, in the standings at the end of each season. And so that made, like, last year, yeah, they weren't expected to make it, but they did. They exceeded expectations and made it. But, if you, by looking back though, you could see where the growth was coming.
Yep.
If you're not seeing them significantly, at least making some improvement and moving up in the standings each
Rise,
year, it's
yeah.
it's time to be concerned. If they're then you worry that they're spinning their wheels. But as long as you can see development and on an individual level too, especially with kids like Michkov, and if you can get improvement as well from a couple of the additions that they made in the offseason, which we'll be getting to, I know.
Next.
Yeah, that could also help them make significant strides.
Perfect segue though, Lyle. Let's talk about some of
Thank you.
those,
Yeah.
additions that they've made. With one of them being a huge addition, being Trevor Zegras,
Hmm.
now being brought into the fold. Um, Look, there's been talk about this Trevor Zegras thing now for what, 2 years now,
Hmm.
to come into the Flyers. So now let's go full circle now. What, 2 years ago, they said, hey, let's bring in Jamie Drysdale. All right. So we traded and got Jamie Drysdale. And then we drafted Cam York and we had Cam York on the team. And so Cam York and Jamie Drysdale, hey, all right, California guys. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm friends. All right, cool. Now we got Zegras thrown in. Now all three of these guys, right, are all friends, all, have all blah, 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 the whole 9 yards. Now they're all on the same team.
Yes.
Is Zegras gonna be that much of a difference maker on this team?
He can be. He can be. I think for him, it's just a matter of, I think he really needed a change.
Yeah,
Given the situation that he was having out there in Anaheim. If you recall, I mean, he came in and he had a terrific rookie season. I mean, for heaven's sake, he wound up getting invited to the All-Star game for their trick shot competition. But I mean, hey, it was enough that it garnered attention for his puck handling skills. And if memory serves, he was a finalist for the Calder Trophy that year.
yep,
And he had a 60-point season. Second, his sophomore season, yeah, he was over 60 points again, but the development was not what the Ducks were hoping for. And then the injuries
injuries.
happened. You had the
Yep,
contract, which started with the contract holdout, or I shouldn't say holdout, but it was a standoff. And then he missed all the training camp. They got it signed, and then he wound up getting hurt.
yep.
And then it just became one thing after another. And the Ducks have also, they're a rebuilding team as well, but they were kind of in the, just the stage of we don't know what we're going to be. They wound up changing management, then they wound up going through different coaches, and excuse me, that kind of has an effect on a player. If you're seeing different coaches every second year, and they're trying to change your system around your
Ex-
style of play, yeah.
yeah,
And we know with Zegras that Zegras prefers playing center, but he's played mostly on the wing out in
and in
Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah.
Yeah. So now he's probably going to get a good opportunity here to go back and play at the center position. And again, Tocchet is going to be the type of coach, as I said, that's going to coach to this kid's strengths here, okay, to try and help him get his game back in form. He's back on the East Coast as well, because you got to remember he's I believe he's a New York kid, so he's back on the East Coast. That's gonna help as well. And maybe this is one of these things where having to change his scenery will do him a world of good. Excuse me, under a different head coach where there's also a little bit more stability there now as well.
I was just gonna say structures there a little bit more.
Exactly. And some familiar faces. Jamie Drysdale specifically is their former teammates. So he's going to be an interesting one to watch. It's going to be interesting to see how well he meshes, because that they're going to put him in a top six role. They're not going to have him down on the checking lines because, quite frankly, that's a waste of his skills and ability.
Exactly.
So yeah, yeah. How well he meshes on those top six forwards? Could he end up maybe even end up centering Michkov and Konechny? excuse me, on the same line on the top line, or could there be something else that they have on the go there?
I
But
wouldn't have a problem with that. I would be okay with that all day long.
well, hey, and if he does mesh well with with those two guys, if they are on the same line, or even if it's he's on a line with Michkov or on a line with Konechny and they're playing well, that will significantly help the Flyers improve this year. Again, not to be a playoff contender per se, but to at least show that positive improvement and to give you something to hope for and to build on going
Exactly.
forward.
Exactly. With that addition, also Christian Dvorak being
Mm-hmm.
added, and then Dan Vladar in goal. And that's the other kind of big, huge, giant question mark for the Philadelphia Flyers this year. Look, all they need to do is get a power play to like the mid 20s.
Mm,
They just need to get their defense to like the mid 20s, their goals against average into like the mid 20s. And what I mean by mid 20s is like in the league rankings, if you can get to like 21,
yeah.
22, but I mean, that's 10 places better than what you were last year.
Yeah.
That's probably 5 or 6 more wins. That's, how many more
Well,
points?
and that power play, to your point, I mean, that power play should improve. I mean, you've got a decent, I was pull them up now what their roster, breakdown looks like. You've got a decent top six there. Okay, if you got Michkov, Couturier, and Konechny on your top line, with Zeagras and Tippett and Forster on your second line, that should be worth something. And don't forget, you've also got Bobby Brink there as well, so
Yep.
you can kind of go up and down on that wing there as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see there. At least that should help with your power play. Dvorak, yeah, I mean, as long as he's a steady, he should be a good guy for face-off wins. Help you kill some penalties. He's not gonna score you a lot of points, but that's not what you brought him in for. He's there
Right.
to mostly center your fourth line. He can go and center your third line if need be, but when he was in Montreal, it was mostly fourth line duty by the time he got towards the final stage. But
Okay.
again, solid for face-offs, which you'll need in the penalty kill, or you could have him out there on a
Or,
power play to
or in the
win
defensive
draws.
end or whatever. Yep.
Exactly. Darth Vader. Yes, exactly. But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. The goaltending is going to be interesting to watch that because Ersson, he's got, but I mean, at least he was the most reliable, if you will, of your goaltenders. But he
Well, if
was
you want to
over,
call it that,
if you want to
okay. I
even call
mean,
it that, but he got overused. They had no choice because
slightly.
they did not have a good backup, as you guys know. Bringing in Vladar, that should help. And this is a guy, he's 28, and he's always been kind of like, well, no, I don't really see myself as a backup. I see myself as a starter. So if these two guys can kind of push themselves, that could also perhaps help
All
maybe
day long.
reduce that goals against
Yeah.
average and improve
Yeah.
that save percentage. So again, there's maybe some wins stolen there if that can improve.
And if what you say as well too, because you're exactly right. In the last 2 years, Erison has been completely and utterly overused. And if he doesn't have to play as many games, look,
Yeah,
we don't have that Marchand Brodeur goaltender anymore that's going to play 60 games. You,
nobody
you
does
you
in the
you
NHL
don't
anymore.
have that in the league anymore.
Well,
And
Connor Hellebuck, but he's now a special case. Yeah,
uh,
to
uh,
your point, most
one,
goalies now they spread it out now.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
they've learned stop beating the snot out of your goalies. You want to have you want to make sure they're fresh if you when you do make the playoffs. I mean, part of the reason, I mean, just kind of sidetrack a little bit, but I think part of the reason why Connor Hellebuck isn't so good in the playoffs is because they got him playing over 60 games in the regular season.
season. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So,
Because
yeah.
by the time he gets to the playoffs, he's like, man, all right,
It's the
I'm
only
kind of
thing I can
tired,
figure.
guys.
That's the only thing I can figure because I don't buy that he can't handle pressure. I
Right.
don't think pressure's the problem. I just think that he's overworked. But anyway, but yeah, if you spread out your playing time, I think you'll see Erson will have his stats will improve. And again, if he and Vladar can kind of get that
Push.
good push, they push each other in a good a good friendly rivalry way, yeah, that will help the Flyers steal some games, win some games, put some extra points, in the standings, and yeah, maybe get them within striking distance of a playoff spot.
But we both agree, though, and I think the consensus is that we're still going to have to be patient for this year.
Yeah.
This the season outlook, though, and I'm with you, and I've been talking about this ad nauseum for the last 5 years. This team needs to just improve in some of those key areas. The
Hmm.
power play has to be even 10 places better than what it was, right? The defense has to be a little better. Their goals against average needs to be a little better. If you do those things, then what you talked about, those extra, couple wins, 10 wins might come, and that just gets you that much closer to the playoffs.
Yeah. And even if you don't make it, again, if you can actually see actual improvement, it's something then that you can build on, so that you can, depending on what happens in the off season next year, depending on how things shake out for you in the draft, depending on the development of your prospects, you could be in a much better position at the end of 2026, 27.
And I can honestly tell you that the 26th draft is shaping up to be woo. I mean, I don't think we're gonna see a 26 draft like that's gonna be a once in a lifetime draft. I think we're gonna be coming up on here
Well,
in
it's going to
this.
be it's going to be well, I mean, McKenna obviously Gavin McKenna is the prize.
Yep.
So you're going to start hearing a lot of, tanking for McKenna talk. And maybe some Flyers fans would want that from this team this year. I don't think though bringing in somebody like Rick Tocchet, I don't think that that's what you're going to see.
No.
So yeah, they may end up actually, seeing improvement to the point where they don't, their let's just say their odds of winning the draft lottery will be
Much
pretty
less.
slim, pretty slim. Yeah.
I
Be
mean, I
happy
can't.
with what you be happy with what you got this year and last year, I mean, hey, it's not like you didn't get nothing, right?
Right.
So,
That's true.
you
That's
know,
true.
I
Because
mean,
Jetlachenko.
Michkov, you've got yourself a superstar,
Yeah,
a,
all
a
day.
future superstar.
Yeah.
So, you know, just start building around him, and yeah, you get the best that you can out of the draft. Yeah, the 2026 draft is it's going to be deeper than this year's draft was. No offense to the kids who were selected this year. There may be some really good players that come out of it. We don't know. I mean, time will tell. But by most consensus, this year's draft was not particularly deep, and the 2026 one is supposed to be with McKenna being, the cream of the crop. So the
Exactly.
franchise, again, another generational funny, we're seeing another generational player. We got one in Celebrini 2 years in the 2024 draft, and Bedard in 2023. So
You know. So maybe
more and
it's
more
the
generational player.
you,
Wait,
you
hey,
know
that's great. I hope they are, because that'll make the league a lot more fun if you got a lot more really good young players, you
exactly,
know, battling to
exactly.
be the top dog. Yeah.
I mean, and I gotta tell you something, man. I'm looking for San Jose and
Hmm.
Chicago to take huge jumps this year in just what they've done over the last 2 seasons. I mean, I think they're that step or two ahead of Philadelphia in their rebuild.
Well, I mean, you look at what they got, though. I mean, yeah,
It's
there's a lot. Well, they really burned it down to the ground, though. The Flyers,
maybe that's true.
Briere and company did not tear it down to the studs like
No, they
Chicago
didn't.
and San Jose did. Because if they did, Konechny wouldn't be here anymore. Tippett
True.
probably wouldn't be there anymore. Couturier wouldn't be here anymore.
Right.
They
I'm
they
with
would
you.
have ditched a
I'm with you.
lot of
Yep.
those guys a long time ago. So this is still, they've got what they've got. It's a rebuild, but not a full-fledged one. You don't want. It's not a retool. It's kind of more of a transitional thing, I guess. Though
Okay.
what you're transitioning from is from the freak show you had before with Fletcher to and Hextall and
Woo.
just
No comment.
everything
No
to
comment.
now you're hoping that you've got stability in
Yeah.
management, which and now stability behind the bench. So going forward with what you've got, and you've got Konechny for a while, and
Yep.
Couturier still for a while, for as long as his
Yep.
back holds out. And I'm not saying that to be facetious, just literally for as long as his back holds out. Tippett, you've got for a while as well. So these are still guys that, if you can if you can get there within 3 years, those guys, especially Konechny and Tippett, should still be able to be productive for you.
and within that 3 years, you're going to see the Porter Martones, the Jet
Yep.
Lachenkos,
Yep.
you're going to see those draft picks, the Nesbits, and all that
Yes.
stuff potentially, getting to the point where they're going to be able to make the team. You know what I
The
mean?
bonks as
And
well. Yep.
yeah, right. And the Barcays and the Bonks, and we've got quite a huge collection of B players,
Hmm.
Barkay, Bonk, Brink.
A
Right.
brochette of B players.
I
Yes.
mean, right, the
There
killer
you go.
bees, right?
There you
Okay,
go.
there you go.
There we go. Boy, are we throw yeah, we are making deep cuts here now, folks. Yeah, we're going back 40 years when
Oh
WWE
my.
was WWF, a Killer
Oh
Bees,
my
baby.
gosh. Anyway, so
Anyway,
back to the Flyers anyway.
off we go. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it's
Yep.
I'm excited for this year, but
Mhm.
a little grain of salt is going to be needed, because it's still part of that rebuild, retool kind of thing. And if they make the playoffs, okay, but I'm really okay if they don't.
And that's kind of where I was again. I refer back to myself as a Habs fan. If there's one thing that I can honestly say that was actually a bit refreshing, is being a Habs fan. And again, I'm going to date myself here. I've been a Montreal Canadiens fan since 1971. When 8-year-old me saw Ken Dryden basically stop Bobby Orr and the Big Bad Bruins, and that at that point I had been a Bobby Orr fan. After seeing that series
Yeah,
and seeing him, I
yeah,
became a Montreal fan.
yeah.
So yeah, and I was just fortunate that, and little did I know that at the time
Wow.
I was cheering for a team that was a dynasty. But anyway,
Who
but
knew?
who knew? I didn't. I was 8. I didn't know my hockey history then. But anyway, but the one thing throughout most of my time as a Montreal fan is every year was always the emotional roller coaster. It's like, God damn it, you guys are supposed to be going for the cup. It was so much easier back in the dynasty years. But since 93, it had been kind of a lot of roller coaster up and down.
Yep.
But going through that rebuild when they tore it right down and then started to rebuild, we were all on side with it. And the one big thing, Ron, I can tell you, is a lot of stress was gone because your expectations were realistic now. Your expectations were realistic.
Perfect. That's the
Yeah.
perfect way to say it.
And
Your
that's the way to
expectations.
have it. Yeah.
That's perfect. And with the hiring of St. Louis as coach, um, I think that was a huge coup for the Montreal Canadiens.
And honestly, I was against it when it happened at the time. I
I
th- I
know
th-
a
I
lot
thought
of
it
people were.
was. Oh, I did. I thought, like, what the heck is this? Like, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? This guy has no experience coaching at any level other than at his kids' level. For heaven's sake, he coached his kids' games. I was like, what are you doing? Well, just goes to show those of us who like to think of ourselves as kind of knowing a thing or two about a thing or two when it comes to the NHL,
Really
sometimes we
don't know
don't
a
know
thing or two.
everything.
Yeah,
We
right.
don't know everything. Yeah.
See,
We don't know
that's what you thought you thought.
everything.
You're
What
right.
you thought. But you're right. I mean, it turned out to be just, you talk about outside the box hirings. Holy cow, was that ever outside the box? But it worked well
It
for
did.
them.
Yes, it did. Very much so.
And that's
I
where,
had an
but
opportunity. Go
yeah.
ahead.
But that's why, though, but regardless, you could say, well, hiring Tocchet wasn't outside the box. They should have done that. But I disagree in this instance, just because when I look at the makeup of this team and look at what they had before as a coach, I think you're better off having a guy like Tocchet come in there and handle that situation.
Yeah.
Because Montreal's situation back then for you was completely different from what the Flyers are going
Yep.
through right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I tell you what though, um, I'm really liking the direction that the Flyers are going in. I'm
Hmm.
really liking where Danny Briere is putting this team, and I like the fact that he has come out with a plan and let everybody know
Yeah.
what the plan is.
It's
You know,
stability. It's stability, Ron. In a nutshell, this is stability. This is something that had been missing before he came in.
absolute.
Because, honest to God, I mean, after 2020, when, I mean, they had such a terrific season. I mean, you think back 5 years ago, I mean, during that COVID shortened season, but regardless, they made the play. They looked really good. They
Yeah,
made the playoffs. They were
yeah,
really good. They upset Montreal,
yeah.
And Carey
That
Price. I
was a
mean, you
hard fought series, though. That was a really hard
absolutely,
fought series.
but it was very entertaining. It was not one where I was like, Flyers are being a bunch of cheap
Yeah, no,
shot.
I agree,
No, no,
though.
no, no, no. There was none of that. It was just as you said, just a hard fought series between two teams I thought were pretty evenly matched.
Agreed.
Um, but then after that, like the wheels just fell off, and it was like a sense of panic just permeated everything
Yeah,
and everything. And I mean, to me, the straw, and I think the straw that broke everybody's back was the whole James Van Riemsdyk thing at the
yeah,
trade deadline,
yeah.
where it looked like they had a trade. They traded him. They were going to trade him at the last minute. He was going to Detroit, and then it fell. But it was like, what are you doing? What were you doing? Why did you sit on this? And what are you doing? Like that was everybody was puzzled, and that was it. We all knew then there is big changes coming because that was just embarrassing.
You notice you don't see Chuck Fletcher as a general manager anywhere,
There's a
right?
reason for that. Yeah.
Right. I saw him one time doing like an analyst thing on one of the NHL network shows. I saw him like maybe a year or two ago, and
Mm.
that was it. I just saw him on that one show, and then that was it. I've never seen him since or doing anything else since then. So anyway, but we went way off on a tangent on that one. So let's bring it back on to Flyer Earth here. Like we said, we think there's good meat on the bone here, and
Hmm.
they're headed in the right direction. But don't be surprised if they don't make the playoffs. Lyle, tell us where we can find all of your great stuff, man. Where we can read all your great articles and get a hold of you, my man.
Well, the first place, of course, is my website, Spectres Hockey, which of course, I update daily, mainly, the day's headlines and the trade and free agent rumors, and I offer up my take on all of them. You can also find my stuff at the Hockey News, where I do a rumor roundup for them. You can find me at Bleacher Report. If you read German, you can read my weekly column for Ice Hockey News in Germany. I don't write German, but they take my work and they translate it, and it's
Oh,
great.
really?
I know enough German to get my face slapped, so that's there. But
Ein bisschen. Ein bisschen.
ein Minuten bitte.
Yeah, yeah.
Ja.
Oh my god.
Anyway,
Anyway, so
but and I also during the regulars during the course of normal NHL season, I also write for my hometown paper here in Charlottetown, The Guardian.
there you go.
So that's where you can find me all throughout there. And if you need to get in touch with me, spectershockey@gmail.com.
There you
Love to
go.
hear from fans if they got anything they want to talk about hockey wise, as long as you're not going to email me to tell me I suck.
And we'll have all his links and all that stuff here in the description that you guys can go check him out. Spectre's Hockey, man. Be sure to check out all the great stuff and the great articles and all the great things that Lyle does, man. You got to be sure to check that out
And
for,
hey, everybody, be sure
for
you
sure.
check out the hockey writers too. These guys do great. I've been following that site and all you guys for a long time. Y'all are doing good work there. So,
Thank you.
well done. Keep it up, guys.
Thank
Seriously.
you. Thank you very much. The Hockey Writers Inc., a Philadelphia Flyers centric podcast, top 10 ranked Philadelphia podcasts in all the land for 5 years in a row. Thank you all very much for tuning in and checking us out. You can find all the great stuff at the new website, rnjmediasports.com. Check that out, rnjmediasports.com. You can also follow me on Twitter or X at RNJ underscore media. That's RNJ underscore media. We will catch you all on the next episode of the Hockey Writers Inc.